The trek to Roopkund had seemed like a good idea in Delhi, over beers and Instagram photos of the frozen lake. Now, at 14,000 feet, with the wind screaming through the Trisal Massif like something alive, Aditya wasn't so sure. Skeleton Lake. Their guide Bahadur had called it that morning, pointing to the frozen water where centuries-old bones lay tangled beneath the ice. Pilgrims, killed by hailstones the size of cricket balls, some say by Nanda Devi's rage. Aditya's group, 4 friends from Bangalore chasing an authentic trek, had laughed it off. Priya took photos. Rohan joked about ice cream headaches. Only Mira stayed quiet, staring at the mountain that rose behind them like a folded white hand, silent and enormous. They made camp near the ridge, as dusk turned the peaks the color of dried blood. That was when Bahadur told them the rule. No loud voices near the goddess, no disrespect, no taking anything from the lake. Not a bone, not a bead, not a coin. She is watching. She's a mountain, Rohan said, grinning, already reaching into his pocket. He'd pocketed a small curved bone earlier, thinking it a joke worth telling back home. A finger bone, thin and yellowed, wrapped now in a napkin. That night the wind changed. It didn't blow, it breathed. Long, slow exhalations that pressed against the tent walls, like something testing their strength. Aditya woke first, certain he'd heard footsteps on rock, bare feet slapping stone, in weather that should have frozen skin in minutes. Then came the humming. Low, tuneless, drifting from somewhere above camp, from the direction of the lake, where no living thing should have been standing at 2 a.m. in sub-zero wind. Bahadur was already awake, sitting rigid by the dead fire, his prayer beads moving fast between his fingers. Someone took something, he whispered. Give it back now before she comes down. Rohan laughed, but it cracked in the middle. He fumbled the bone from his pack and threw it out into the dark, toward the ridge, cursing under his breath. The humming stopped. Silence pressed in, worse than the sound had been. Even the wind seemed to be holding still, waiting. Then Priya screamed. Aditya turned to see her staring at the tent flap, where something pale had pressed itself against the fabric from outside. 5 long shapes like fingers, but too long, too thin, bending at angles fingers shouldn't bend. They dragged slowly downward, and where they passed, frost bloomed across the nylon in perfect, spiraling patterns, like something ancient had signed its name. She smells the disrespect, Bahadur said, not moving. Do not go outside. Do not answer if she calls your name. For an hour they sat frozen, literally and otherwise, as something circled the camp, humming, sometimes weeping in a voice that sounded almost human, almost like Mira's mother, almost like Aditya's own name, whispered by lips that had never learned to shape it correctly. Near dawn, the presence withdrew. The mountain exhaled one final time, and the wind died to nothing. They found Rohan's boot prints leading out from the tent the next morning, though no one remembered him leaving, and he swore he never had. The prints stopped 50 feet from camp, at the frozen lake's edge, and did not return. They searched for 3 days. Bahadur would not go near the water. On the 4th day, they found Rohan sitting cross-legged on the ice, alive, unmoving, his eyes open and fixed on the peak above. He would not speak, he would not eat. When they finally got him down the mountain and into a hospital in Almora, the doctors found nothing wrong with him physically, except that his hair had turned white and his fingertips bore faint, spiraling frostbite scars, like something had held his hand very gently all night long and never once let go. He never spoke again above a whisper. When he did speak, just once, months later, he said only, "She wasn't angry, she was lonely, and now she isn't. No one has seen Mira since the trek ended. Her family says she moved to the hills, to a small village near Joshimath, in the shadow of Nanda Devi, where she lives alone and hums softly to the mountain every single night.